tide. We were a people once. The clans spread throughout the mountains, forests, and plains. We had families. We loved. We cared. But then the shadow came and took it all away. One by one, our menfolk fell to the shadow's thrall. There is no way to save them. Once they fall, they march against us. Our husbands, our fathers, our brothers, our sons, lovers, friends. We have been betrayed. They all strive to take us. What comfort can we find? None this tide. Save we will fight. We shall not fall. Not this tide. We were a people once. The clans spread throughout the mountains, forests, and plains. We had families. We loved. We cared. But then the shadow came and took it all away. One by one, our menfolk fell to the shadow's thrall. There is no way to save them. Once they fall, they march against us. Our husbands, our fathers, our brothers, our sons, lovers, friends. We have been betrayed. They all strive to take us. What comfort can we find? None this tide. Save we will fight. We shall not fall. Not this tide. We were a people once. The clans spread throughout the mountains, forests, and plains. We had families. We loved. We cared. But then the shadow came and took it all away. One by one, our menfolk fell to the shadow's thrall. There is no way to save them. Once they fall, they march against us. Our husbands, our fathers, our brothers, our sons, lovers, friends. We have been betrayed. They all strive to take us. comfort can we find? None this tide, save we will fight. We shall not fall, not this tide. We were a people once. The clans spread throughout the mountains, forests, and plains. We had families. We loved. We cared. But then the shadow came and took it all away. One by one, our menfolk fell to the shadow's thrall. There is no way to save them. Once they fall, they march against us. Our husbands, our fathers, our brothers, our sons, lovers, friends. We have been betrayed. They all strive to take us. What comfort can we find? None this tide, save we will fight. We shall not fall, not this tide. We were a people once. The clans spread throughout the mountains, forests, and plains. We had families. We loved. We cared. But then the shadow came and took it all away. One by one, our menfolk fell to the shadow's thrall. There is no way to save them. Once they fall, they march against us. Our husbands, our fathers, our brothers, our sons, lovers, friends. We have been betrayed. They all strive to take us. What comfort can we find? None this tide, save we will fight. We shall not fall, not this tide. We were a people once. The clans spread throughout the mountains, forests, and plains. We had families. We loved. We cared. But then the shadow came and took it all away. One by one, our menfolk fell to the shadow's thrall. There is no way to save them. Once they fall, they march against us. Our husbands, our fathers, our brothers, our sons, lovers, friends. We have been betrayed. They all strive to take us. What comfort can we find? None this tide, save we will fight. We shall not fall, not this tide. We were a people once. The clans spread throughout the mountains, forests, and plains. We had families. We loved. We cared. But then the shadow came and took it all away. One by one, our menfolk fell to the shadow's thrall.
Hello! Welcome to our show premiere of Not This Tide, where we are playing the game The Watch. The Watch. I love this game so much, and I'm so excited to be able to share it with people because I don't think this game gets nearly enough attention. So I want to blast the world with it. The world! So, hi, I'm Victoria, and I'm going to be the mistress of ceremonies that is in the book. So, what is the Watch? First, before we introduce everyone, I'm just going to go quickly. What is this? It is a Powered the Apocalypse game, and it is set in a fantasy light kind of world. So, I'm going to read because it says specifically in the rules of this to read this page. Before the shadow. Your people were semi-nomadic, living in clans with an ever-shifting network of alliances and enmities. Although one people, the clans were diverse in tradition, outlook, and custom. Those along the old border were traders, prosperous and widely traveled. Those living in the Central Plains were gatherers and trappers, and those living furthest from the outside world were mountain herders, solitary and secretive. And then the shadow came. 4 months ago, it attacked without warning, overwhelming the border clans with superior numbers and the unnatural strength of the shadow held. Accustomed to dealing with raiders, the border clans initially attempted to fight back. But the men of the clans were too susceptible to the call of the shadow. During those early desperate battles, most men turned against the clans, swelling the ranks of the shadow's army. Weakened, wounded, and heartsore, the survivors fled to take refuge with neighboring clans and to raise the alarm. The chaos that resulted almost shattered the clans. News of the shadow created new feuds and fanned the flame of old hatreds. But ultimately, as the shadow's army pushed further and further into clan lands, clan divisions were set aside in the name of survival. It was clear that if the clans were to remain free of the shadow's taint, they would have to stand together. So it was that the clans were dissolved. The people fell back, establishing a new border and a combined army known simply as the Watch, which is based out of the newly fortified encampments along the border. Not wanting a repeat of past tragedies, the Watch does not allow men to join its ranks and keep those men who remain untouched by the shadow off the front lines and out of the shadow's direct reach. You are a soldier of the Watch. tasked with defending the new border and reclaiming the land taken by the Shadow. You have lost so much in a short time: clan, custom, land, and loved ones, that it sometimes leaves you breathless. You stand together with your comrades in arms in defense of the people. But though the clans were dissolved, the old fault lines are always there, just below the surface. The shadow seeps into those fault lines, hoping to shatter the strength of the people once more. So that is The Watch. Yay! So let's introduce everyone. As I said, I am Victoria. You can normally find me as the DM and producer of the Broadswords, an all-woman and non-binary D&D podcast, but I'm here with Variant Roles to do this stream. So thank you, Variant Roles, for accepting this, because I'm really stoked. Why don't we're gonna go in circle of how everyone appears on my video chat. So let's start with Jess.
Hi, it's me. I'm Jess. I go by Burst of Hope on most social medias, mostly active on Twitter. I cannot express how much I love this game and the kind of narratives that have already happened and the kind of story that we will tell as a cast. I'm just all in. I'm ready for this session 0.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. And we'll get into our characters a little bit later, because this is a whole process, because this is powered by the Apocalypse. So Powered by the Apocalypse definitely takes a kind of a bit of a collaborative approach in character creation. So Gnome, why don't we go to you next?
Hi, I am Gnome, all over the internet as Nomedic, and I am super stoked to be here for this game. It's one that I did not hear of until Victoria, kind of shared it, and the premise is just incredible, and the goal of the game is incredible, and I am super excited to be playing with all of these amazing voices here tonight to experience this particular story. So thank you so much for having me.
My volume is down, apparently. Tiffany, why don't we go with you next?
Hello, I am Tiffany. I am a producer, player, and GM for the podcast North by Northquest, which is a Dungeons and Dragons storytelling podcast. I also am on the internet doing cosplay and sewing things under RTS Cosplay. It's Rattle the Stars Cosplay. So please check me out everywhere. It's the same anywhere you go. I have never played a Powered by the Apocalypse game before, and I definitely had not heard of The Watch until I was talking with Victoria about it. So I am so excited to not just try an entirely new system, but also tell an incredible collaborative story with some really cool people. And I can't wait to cry on the internet in front of others because it's what I'm here for.
Every time I have played this game, there has been at least one person who has cried.
I'm here for it.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
This game can get intense. Amber.
Hi, I'm Amr Emaraz, and you can find me on the internets everywhere as Emaraz. I'm also from the Voices at Play and Musa Fierce podcast, and do a bunch of game design stuff you can find on my Twitter. I've heard people scream about this game before, like various people, about just how good it is, and just looking at the materials we've seen so far, like just the basic character sheet and moves, I understand why, and I'm now very excited. Okay.
Okay, so now that we've done player introductions, so for everyone who's just kind of tuning in, this episode is going to be a session 0. Session 0 is just important for any table to have, but it's also particularly important for this game. It is a part of this game, and there is a checklist that it gives me to go over various things on the first session. And that is what this is. So page 67 of this book is just a checklist. And so I'm going to do justice to this game, and we are going to do that. Also, this game deals with some hard topics. It's essentially the shadow is metaphor for the patriarchy and toxic masculinity. And so because we're dealing with those sorts of things, it can get a little dark. And it can touch on topics that might make people feel uncomfortable. So definitely a content warning advisory for this game. And it's also, so we're going to be discussing lines and veils and safety mechanics and stuff a little bit later in the stream, because this game can be intense. All right, so now that we have met each other, I have a question that I always ask players the first time I play with them, and that is, what are your favorite aspects of tabletop RPGs? And the reason why I always ask this question when I am GMing is because I want to ensure everyone at my table's having a good time. So why don't we start this point with Tiffany? What are your favorite aspects of tabletop RPGs?
Perfect. So I think my favorite aspect is the collaborative role playing of it, that just kind of bouncing off of each other. So when you really get into a scene, that ability to dive in and not break character and just keep going. And it's kind of the aspect I try to strive for myself with it. So that's kind of the thing I love the most about it, is really having those interactions between everyone.
Emma.
Well-
I guess I was typing up a storm.
Can you all hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay. So for me, similar to that, but specifically also, I enjoy the types of character stories you can tell, because when you're writing normally, you get to decide what happens to every character involved. When you're doing tabletop RPGs, even if you do talk and like discuss stuff out of character with other characters, there's still another person behind the other characters, and it just surprises you how things shape out when you have this other person to bounce off of and whose ideas shape yours, and ends up telling some really beautiful stories that combine actions and efforts from a bunch of different people.
Mm-hmm. I love both of those answers. Hello, Agatha.
Hi, I'm so sorry that I got the time wrong. Oh.
You're here.
Time is but a construct.
Yeah. You know, whatever. We can pretend we're playing Overlight where there's no time. So why don't you quickly just introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi. Hi, I'm Agatha. I am the co-host of Asians Represent. And I am today going to be playing Tizo. That's me.
Well, hello. I am currently going around and asking everyone what their favorite aspects of tabletop RPGs are. So, Jess.
Yes, me. Okay, so tabletop has been a very new concept for me. I think this is really like my second year of truly delving into it. And when I first heard about it, I'm like, my partner's like, yeah, we play D&D every Sunday. I'm like, okay. But for someone who plays a lot of video games, why would you want to pretend things, right? So it took me a long time to transition from me engaging on a like grinding gamified way of like I achieved something really epic versus tabletop brings to the story like everyone has said, collaborative gameplay, and it's a moment to just breathe for me. It's a moment to explore different aspects of life and different ways to perform empathy and acting. And it's just been such a beautiful experience to be able to be like, hey, there are mechanics, there are dice, but really, there are stories and characters to build.
Mm-hmm. Gnome?
I think for me personally, I love seeing characters, the group fail at something and then have that opportunity to succeed and do it better in some sort of thematic way. That just brings so much joy to my gamer heart. Like I love those stories where like we planned something, we executed it, and it didn't work, and it sucks. And you have to work through that with all of those around you, because failure when you play a game that's based on dice is inevitable at some point. Sometimes it's out of your control.
Mm-hmm.
But then, you know, you have this opportunity to do it again, to get back on that horse, to, you know, save the town or save the people or save yourselves. And I love stories like that.
Yeah. Agatha?
I think for me, I don't know if this has been mentioned already, coming late, but I do think that for me, the most eye-opening thing about tabletop role-playing games is the ability to play another person and to take on different perspectives and to in that way explore what your impression of that kind of a person could be. And I think that's a very fascinating thing. And it doesn't always happen, but when it does, it's like, oh, I didn't realize that what I actually feel about what this kind of person with this kind of like, I don't know, background or like kind of emotional starting point would act this way. Like these are my immediate expectations, maybe sometimes in spite of what I think about myself. And I think that's a very interesting thing. And it's also a great way for people to just explore other experiences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love I mean I love all of your answers. But to jump off of that, what I really love is that shared experience that an RPG, a tabletop RPG has, is everyone is at that table. We're all collaborating, we're all working together, and it's a shared experience. It's that working together, and now we, you know, even though they're fictional characters, they're figments of our imagination, we feel like we have gone through something together. Because we've emotionally been invested, we've been emotionally there, and I just love that sharing of the experience and the story with each other. Okay, so now let's get to my next question because I've got notes. What are each of your expectations of a GM? Jess, let's start with you.
Oh my goodness. So I generally tend to separate the concept of facilitating or GMing a game via stream versus a table. So now that this is a stream specific game, I tend to look out for, before we even press the live button for the first time, are we having discussions about what the expectations are? What is this game? Safety tools, super big thing. And you hit all the buttons prior to this, obviously. And then as we play, it's there's a lot of social awareness you have to have as a facilitator. And if it's harder to portray that when we're all just webcam screens, and especially if you're running production, you're like looking at all these things. But if just you're able to check in, whether that's behind the screens via chat or you're able to understand the pace of the game, then keep it moving, check in. Those are all good things.
Okay, so social awareness, check-ins. I'm writing this all down. That's why my head, you see a nice view of my forehead. It's just me writing.
And wonderful curls.
Oh yes, thank you. Thank you. They're not as curly as usual today, which is making me very
Oh no.
I know. Gnome.
Hmm. Um. God, that's a question that you don't normally get asked, so it's really interesting to have that question asked. I think for me, when it comes to a GM, is it's great for you or just any GM to also kind of be clear on the type of story that you want to tell. Because even though there's a billion players in a game, it's still a story that you as the GM are part of. So your thoughts and stories are is equally important. So I think that would be like I'd be curious as to see like what like your expectations as far as the story
Mhm.
are. And I think it can kind of help us shape how we work together and work with you on, in this incredibly collaborative environment.
Mhm. And I will go through that as well when it's my turn. Emerus.
Uh, I mean, so for me, the biggest one is also like have fun, because I think the game is a lot more fun if the facilitator's having fun, because you feel that and then you get to play off of it and everyone's having a good time and it makes it easier to enjoy.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you.
and I guess going off of what Gnome said, I think a big thing for me for the facilitator is that like they're facilitating this conversation and empowering the players and doing what they want to do, and like helping make the whole PBTA thing of be a fan of the characters, but also they're a part of the conversation, and I think they should facilitate and empower the things that the others want to do while also making sure that their voice is heard in the middle of it.
You GM a lot, don't you?
What?
Agatha.
Well, I feel like I'm on the losing end because pretty much everyone has said anything that could be said. Um, I don't know if I necessarily actually have a lot of expectations for GMs. But I think for a show, then um, having the wherewithal to just cut scenes and then to be like, hold that thought. I'm gonna look at someone else. But I feel like I don't need to say anything because you already do all those things, Victoria. So it's
Well, thank you.
just keep doing you. That's what I want.
Okay. Well, thanks. So what are my expectations? I
Oh,
guess
Victoria, don't forget.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. It's
I'm
okay.
not the last
It's
person.
okay. No, you're totally good.
go ahead, Tiffany.
I'll call you on it. It's fine. No, you're totally good. I agree with a lot of what everyone has said. But I think to piggyback off of Agatha's, I think what's important for me for a GM is that they can kind of balance the table in a way. It's like, so obviously different characters are going to have different scenes and you want to let that play out and really build that, but knowing like, oh, this person has been really quiet, let's bring them forward into this, and just kind of try and keep people a little bit more even in how much their focus is, because we've all been in those places where you've had one person who just will steamroll everything and will be like the loudest voice, and you hate being the one who's not there in the back, like sad you didn't get to do the thing you wanted, or you didn't feel nearly as big a part of it. So I think a little bit of that balancing dynamic is a big part of it for me for a GM as well.
That's very fair. Yes. So I guess my expectation, this is going to kind of lead me into the next question. The next question is, what are your expectations of other players? Now, I like to view the GM as just as much of a player as anyone else. I'm just wearing a different colored hat. Like in different sports teams, different players wear different things because that's what they do, but they're all still in the same team, on the same team. So that's how I view a GM, and so I definitely appreciate Emira's saying make sure that they're having fun, because I want to have fun just as much as you all do. And I think with the watch, I definitely will, because I will be presenting you with narrative and then seeing what you do with it. And what are my expectations of players? My Now I understand trust has to be earned. So I just hope that players can at least try to trust me, because I do try to be very aware of what's going on and how, and I do try to watch people's body language. I might not catch everything, so I do ask players to maybe point something out to me if I don't catch it. And I definitely do take constructive criticism. So please throw that my way, and we will also have after game check-ins, so that we can go into that as well. My other expectations of players is that you try not to talk over each other. You let each person have their say, and let other people take spotlights. You don't necessarily have to wait for me, the facilitator, to put the spotlight on you. You or on someone else. You can hand that spotlight on to someone else. So try to do that with each other and just be respectful of each other and all of us when we're talking. So that is going to take me. Tiffany, you can go first this time. What are your expectations of other players?
I do think you really hit it on the head. I think you come into a table with a level of apprehensive trust that then gets just reinforced by behavior. So I think that player trust to know that, like, I can come to this table and we're all here together and you're not going to shoot down anything right off the bat. We might have a conversation of how we do it. But it's that trust that I can be here and I can open up and we can do stuff together. So I think that's a big part of what I try to bring and then with like brought back. So I think that's my biggest point overall. So it matches what you're saying.
All right, great. Agatha.
I think one thing that is very cool whenever it happens is once we know kind of the sort of themes we want to hit, or like just maybe the kinds of conversations you want to have, when we kind of create opportunity for each other by like even like bringing this up in a conversation that you're having in character. I think those moments are always really fun. Especially when they're like, I really want to hash this out. And then you just start a fight in character. I'm not saying we have to fight. We could.
There probably will be disagreements.
Yeah, I that makes sense.
Drama.
It's true. So I always really enjoy those. And whenever I see those happen, I'm also very excited.
Amaras.
Honestly, Agatha hit my big thing. Just like tell each other what we want to happen, because that'll make sure it happens. Like whenever I think of something about my character, I try to get it out as fast as possible, because how people react is so much more interesting than anything I can come up with. So like it's more fun when we work together. That's it.
Jess?
I feel like when I have this conversation, it is always just going to be a expounding upon the general concept of don't be a dick. In more nicer terms, again, the same thing as a facilitator, players should have some social recognition and, have a little bit of sympathy and awareness for your players around you. We've already established the tone of what kind of game we're having, and yes, spotlight sharing is important. That's not a facilitator only goal. It's something everyone has the tool to do. And it's like the more you lean into, if we're here for a collaborative story, then we need to figure out how to link ourselves and play these scenes together. I have a background in martial arts, and some of the tenets I personally live by because of that is courtesy, respect, and integrity. All of that bleeds into the table. Trust is earned, but I will always bring respect first. My default is respect, and respect builds trust, and we're able to have a genuine interaction together.
Okay. I wrote down don't be a dick.
That's it, right? That's all you need.
No.
I think I mean I'm not going to parrot everything that everybody's already said because I mean those are all incredibly important things and I absolutely agree with them. I would add patience, I think, and understanding. We all have different ways to express things or have difficulty being able to express things. So just the awareness of how patient you are with somebody at the table. That maybe they're not good at math. Maybe they have anxiety and their words just don't quite come out the way that they want to. Pause, give them a moment, and assist if necessary. But just be patient and understanding with them. I think that's important for players at a table.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Safe. That's also something that is to do with safety, I think. Safety at the table, patience, and respect, and making sure that you give people the space that they need at that table to be able to do what it is that they want to do. Like you said, whether it might be just tallying up your dice or thinking of what to say or what to do. Okay. Well, EMK Hansen loves your bit about patience. No, they just yelled it in their kitchen with broccoli.
I only say it because I ask for patience as a person with really bad ADD.
Hey.
Just please be patient.
Okay, so now we have our expectations of me, we have our expectations of each other. So this then brings us to safety tools. So we are going to be using 2 different safety tools for this game. The first one being, and I think a lot of people have heard of this one, is lines and veils. So what are lines and veils? Lines are topics that we just do not want in our game. They make us uncomfortable. They can be gross. They're not things that we're not comfortable with. And then we have veils. Veils are topics that we can have in the game, or topics and themes that we can have in the game, but let's fade them to black. We don't need to go into detail for them. So an example of a line, and these are lines that I have in all games that I run, are no sexual assault, no sexual harassment, no racism. Those are my 3 big ones for lines. And then a common one for veils that I do have in my games is torture. If we could veil torture, that would be great. I also learned in a game I don't like detail about saliva. It's gross. It really grosses me out. This happened at a game once, and I had no idea that this was a thing for me. And I just started gagging. So I just said, "Hey, we're gonna veil this. It's there, and that's cool. Just we don't need all the in-depth jokes about saliva." It was gross. So let's go around the table. And let's see what everyone else's lines are. We're gonna start with Jess.
The less serious line I always put out there is spiders. I just feel like I am arachnophobic and I'd prefer not to have spiders. There are other creatures that could equally do what spiders do. So no spiders for me.
What
Beyond
if the spider is
Uh-huh.
one of the playbooks someone is?
I did read through it. I'm totally fine with that. Okay. Yeah, that's okay. The metaphorical spider, no problem. The creepy crawly with legs and fangs, no thank you.
Okay.
Beyond that, it would be, I know we discussed this. Let's see, berating or violence of children would be a line for me.
Okay.
And I think for this one, that is the only one.
Okay. Oh, you know what I forgot was derogatory comments to marginalized groups. That is another one that I have underlined.
Good.
Gnome.
Oh, I don't think I have any lines to contribute
Okay.
from the ones that have already been discussed. But for Vales, I don't know if you are a sound effects person. Pagers, if there's something that needs to beep, it's not very good for me
Okay.
because of past line of work. It's weird. I know, but it sounds
Hey.
auditory person.
Beeping. Okay.
And for my character in interaction personally, nothing sexual, not into playing it, not into trying to romance other characters from my character perspective. Totally okay if it's in game, happens to other characters, NPCs, not a problem, just not a thing for me.
Mhm.
Other than that, that's it.
And beeps. Amaras.
I think all of mine have pretty much been hit by other people already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tiffany?
Yeah, all of the same ones that have been said already. For my character specifically, so I have asthma, so anything related to not being able to breathe is rough.
Okay.
So that's just my character specifically. Situations can come up where that's a issue, but yeah, I like breathing. I have to struggle enough in real life. We don't need to bring it.
Yeah, I saw on Twitter someone created a spell that sewed someone's mouth up. And I saw that and was like, no. Because I'm the same with you. I'm asthmatic and that would be horrible.
Yeah, especially coupled with allergies. I almost can't breathe through my nose most of the time. I'm like, that's a quick way to panic. So you feel
I'm a
me.
mouth breather, everyone. Hi, that's me, y'all make fun of.
Same.
Agatha.
I don't have anything more to add. I think everyone definitely touched on my basic ones.
Okay. Cool. So let's recap our lines here. So our lines are spiders, sexual assault, sexual harassment, racism, violence towards children, and derogatory comments about marginalized groups. Veils. We've got torture. For Gnome's character specifically, no romance. For Tiffany's character specifically, no situations where they can't breathe, and no beeping sound effects. I got them all? Great. Okay, so that brings us to the next safety mechanic. Because the safety tool of lines and veils are great, but what happens when inadvertently something gets into one of these topics? Or what if someone like me suddenly decided mid-game, oh, that I don't like that. That's eesh. So we are going to adopt the traffic light system. And I really like this system because it also has a positive aspect. Because I find most safety tools, a lot of them, it's just focusing on the stopping. It doesn't focus on the promoting of good things. So that's why I like the safety light. So we have, or the traffic light. So we have green. So everyone hold up your green thing. Everyone has a green item except Agatha. And the green thing you hold up is your role playing. Your character is going through some hard stuff, and your role playing, you are into it. Just hold up something green to let us all know you're good. We don't need to be concerned. You're fine. I might occasionally hold this up and be like, hmm? And that's me questioning that person. Are you okay? Are you fine? And just hold it up. And then if everyone at the table can, once someone holds it up, if everyone can hold up their ball, their corresponding color ball, will go through all the colors in response. Because we're doing this together, this safety is for all of us. And so I want everyone to be there together to acknowledge it. And then we have the yellow, which is like caution. So this is okay. Hi, we are starting to get into some territory that's making me a little uncomfortable. Yeah, everyone's holding up their yellow item so we can see what it is. And this is just lets you all know that, okay, you know what, let's fade this to black or like redirect this scene because we're in territory that's really cute. You know, so that we're good. No more, you're gonna say something?
No, I just like
Kudetama.
yes.
And then we have red. And red is just like the X card. This is hard stop. We need to stop this, and we maybe if the person wants to discuss it, they can. But if they don't want to, they don't have to. No questions asked. We just say, "Yep," we stop. And we will go and redo the scene in a manner that doesn't step on someone. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, great. So this game does have some policies. And that's on page 62. So player principles. So the MC, they have a list of key principles and agendas which shape how they portray the world that we're all playing in. So, and we're going to get into that a little later when we world build. But player principles, there are two principles that every player shares. The first one being make the other characters look awesome and share screen time with them. So we did discuss that, but that is a principle of this game. Another principle is keep an eye out for each other's emotional safety and be kind to one another. Because again, this game is going to be dealing with some heavy topics. So, you know, we need to make sure. And that's why I really like this, the traffic light system, and why we're all going to hold up our colors in solidarity with each other, because we're all in this together. We're all playing this together. And then, guess what? We're going to make some characters. Yay! We're getting into the meat of it. All right. There is a checklist in this book. And yes, I'm one of those people who folds their books. And I'm not sorry.
They're meant to be lived with.
I write in my books too, and I dog-ear them.
That's okay.
Agatha's gonna die.
These are controversial stances that you're all like taking.
It took me a while.
Snakes in here.
Yeah.
Okay, this book is not a living entity. It is paper and plastic and glue.
You're making me cry.
You know what? It just means I buy more books. As a game designer, you should like that because it means I buy more of your books.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a take.
Okay. Thank you, chat. Thank you for supporting me in my my book folding. Okay. So there is a checklist here. So everyone should introduce themselves by name and preferred pronouns. We kind of did that. So let's do it. I'm Victoria and I am she, her. No?
I am Gnome, and I am he, him.
Agatha.
I'm Agatha, and I am she, her.
Tiffany.
I am Tiffany, and I am she, her.
Emaraz.
I'm Amr Emaraz, and I am they, them.
Jess.
I'm Jess, and I use she, her, or they, them.
Cool. Agatha, yes, they're in the playbook. I did email you everything. No, it's not online. Okay, I read the introductory text. So, everyone, okay, I did give everyone their playbooks ahead of time to go through and choose. So why don't we start and say what we all picked? Let's start with Jess since you went last time.
Muting. Okay, yes. I chose to be Rumo, who uses they, them pronouns and is the lioness.
Yes, so the lioness for the playbook. The lioness, they're
want to be charming and daring.
yes, they are charismatic, gorgeous, and inspiring. Good for players who like romance, leadership, and influencing others through words.
I just want to help.
Amaraz.
So I chose the Raven, and I will be playing Hedia.
And what are Hadia's pronouns?
She uses she/they pronouns.
And so the Raven is priestly, philosophical, and distant. Good for players who like playing with religion, ethical questions, and acting as a moral compass. Tiffany?
I am playing Remy. She uses she, her pronouns and is the spider playbook.
Creepy, dark, and mysterious. Good for players who like being a healer, being seen with suspicion, and tampering with dark powers best left alone. Dun dun dun! Agatha.
I'm playing Tizo, the owl, and her pronouns are she, her.
The owl is sly, opinionated, and sneaky. Good for players who like being a troublemaker, learning secrets, and provoking those around them. Gnome.
I will be playing Rivka, who is she, her pronouns, and is the fox.
Strange, mystical, and sometimes alarming. Good for players who like the supernatural, creating setting and alternately aiding fellow PCs and putting them in harm's way. I played the fox last time. Because I like the paranormal.
Yeah, I thought some of those moves are really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what you pick. Okay, so we've done that. So now on these playbooks are pretty great. You are going to choose. So you've all chosen your names. You've chosen your pronouns. But gender is very important to this game. And this is a part of the character creation. So you can choose fluid, non-binary, cis woman, trans woman, or gender queer. And then you also choose your presentation. There are some suggestions in everyone's playbooks for your presentation and your demeanor. So why don't we go around starting with Gnome on those three things: gender, presentation, and demeanor.
Okay. Gender is a cis woman.
Okay.
Presentation, Rivka is old. She would be considered like everybody's babushka or bubby, grandma, this old lady, and in such she wears like a bunch of like shawls, and always has like a cover over her head, and she does have a huge scar across her eye that is painted rather ornately, per their their clans, right? Not tribes. Okay, yeah. Per like her clan. So she's missing an eye, and demeanor, she's just plays off being the old woman. She's gonna call you out if you act a fool, but she'll also act unable in certain situations to kind of disarm others around her, so that when the time comes, she's much stronger than they assumed.
Agatha.
Tizo is a cis woman, and let's see, her presentation. I was looking at the options, and it's not exactly what I was thinking. I think she often likes to stand with her arms crossed and just like her chest up, the way that kids who are like really proud of themselves would stand. And often she would stand like that after like making a statement and being like,
How
right?
tall is
Right, guys?
Tizo?
She's pretty short. So she sometimes has to look up out of necessity, but definitely default stance. And I think she wears specifically a cloak that is very finely embroidered, and she's also very proud of that.
So you would say she's pretty proud.
Yes, one could say arrogant, but she would not say so.
Oh, I have a feeling you're going to be tempting the shadow.
I would never. I'm beyond that.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going to have fun. Because this is a mechanic in the game. You can fall victim. You can fall to the shadow. You can even just surrender to the shadow. It gets really cool. And we'll get into that a bit later. Probably not in this session, but once we start playing, the mechanics of the game lend themselves to like the fall. So, do you fall? Or do you just become weary or jaded? Or yeah, it's gonna be great. And I foresee some roles for you, Tizo. Tiffany.
Yes. So Remy is a bit more fluid in her presentation. And so part of that is her clothing can be a bit more masculine. She values practicality with it over really like presenting a certain gender. So her clothes are it's very streamlined, but she has a lot of kind of like pockets and way to hide things and conceal anything that she might need. It's not baggy, but it's not very form fitted. But she does have a very large burn along her face. And for sort of her demeanor, she's very kind of professional. She's a bit no nonsense, can get what needs to be got done. But since she does, do some healing and things, she does care under it all. It's just, you might have to work your way in to see that side of her.
MS.
So, Hedia is non-binary and genderqueer. They have a gentle and soft face, wear ritual clothing, which I imagine as not being like overly ornate, but rather more just representative of their practices and faith, and perhaps still practical, but less common than most of her attire. and they have a thoughtful demeanor. Because while they still like act through and primarily as sort of this religious figure, and that is one of their guiding principles and tenets in life, it almost comes second to them to its purpose of like helping other people and what that means for a community and for their companions and who she surrounds herself with.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Jess.
Rumo is genderqueer. They have a very striking face with a chiseled jawline that could cut glass. They have vibrant red hair that is a soft tufted mohawk. Most of their garb is tailored, but neutral colors, and the only color they wear is a royal blue sash tied around their waist. What else? Oh, I went for charming. I am not arrogant. I think the attention I seek is purely to divert it from anyone, hoping to protect them.
Okay. I now have a page of notes. And that was just from 3 questions. Okay. So you all now can choose gear. You get 2 special things. What is it that you select? Because each playbook is different. Who's ready to go first? Tiffany, go ahead.
So I have a bow that is a relic of my people. It's like a long bow. And then my armor is simple but surprisingly durable. And I picture the armor being a bit more feminine in design, that kind of contrasts a little to her normal attire.
What kind of material is the armor made out of?
Probably similar to like it's not really like scale mail, but made out of like leather, where it like locking pieces, so that like when it's like older, you see a lot of this. I think it was like with Roman armor, where it's like woven leather, and how they like layer it adds that protection.
Okay. Cool. Is anyone else ready for what they've selected?
I have selected not for my clan symbol or like my other thing, but for in terms of my general gear. Yes. So my shield is simple and reliable. It's circular, wooden, and scored. It looks like it's been through a lot of wear, which is maybe a little bit of a contrast with my fancy cloak. So it's I clearly use that the most out of everything that I own. And I also, the kind of armor that I wear is very light and silent. So it's actually because it's pretty much almost no armor. I think it's a lot of like soft, maybe like silky fabric. So it just like doesn't make a sound when I move. So my advantage is to just not ever be in a situation where I would get hit. But if that were to happen, I've got my shield. But otherwise, I don't actually. Armor's not so much my thing.
Okay. And that's why it's so worn. Your shield. You really rely on that.
I have been told I'm a one-trick pony. I don't think it's true, but this is something I've been told.
Okay. Gnome, are you ready?
Maybe.
No? Okay. Yes.
I can go. I can ramble and talk. So vaguely, I picked your shield is thick and crafted of wood and iron. So I imagine it's mostly wood, but the border is reinforced with iron. Maybe it's got like some sort of sacred geometry specific to the clan in terms of like how the iron weaves through the wood to reinforce it. The other option was your sword is a piece of art, magnificent and beautiful. I kind of wanted to tweak it, so like not a traditional sword, but it's more like an elongated kukri, which is like a blade that extends from the handle straight and then has an extreme angle to kind of make it curve, and then it's got a very wide tip, so it's got the curvature allows for a lot of efficiency, and I think the handle is where you see a lot of elegance and ornate carvings in it. I would say up until the shadow, I definitely was trained formally, but not necessarily in practice. So it's only recently got its first test of the edge.
Amaras?
Sure. So, should I go over the symbol right now as well, or just the gear?
No, we're going to hold off on the clan symbols because we are going to detail what those clans are in a little
Okay.
bit.
Cool. So for my gear, I went with your spear is a well-known relic of the clans. And so I think it's a fairly simple spear in construction, but the distinction is that the tip is made out of some sort of crystalline material that is pure black, like Vanta black style black. It is gotten a lot of discussion and controversy post the arrival of the shadow of what its significance as a symbol of the clan is, and whether or not it's something we should still be using or looking up to, but it is a well-known relic and part of many ritualistic ceremonies. My other piece of gear is your armor is ceremonial and masterfully crafted. And I think what my armor is a set of like kind of desert style coverings and clothes. So entirely fabric, but a fabric that isn't naturally in the like area that we are now, but rather further out past the borders, woven together specifically that it basically is chainmail, but out of a regular fabric. And because it's fabric, they could weave in other colors to make ceremonial patterns along the armor that like snakes around it.
What does the snake symbolize?
Oh, I didn't think it's specifically a snake. I just meant like patterns that go around.
okay.
But actually, I think there are intertwining snakes on the arms that go up into a bunch of other animals like across the like centerpiece. So haven't thought it all through yet, but I think like snakes on the arms, reptiles further down the legs, and then kind of combine into something in the center.
I'm going to have questions about that later. We're going to move on to Gnome. How are you, Gnome?
Okay, we're good. We're good. The first item is a bow that she carries, which is famous for slaying the three kings.
Ooh. Who are the three kings?
I don't know. Who are the three
Oh.
kings?
We will find out. The three kings.
It sounded important. So yeah, is it her item? Who knows? Maybe she got it from somebody else, but it's a famous bow. The other item that I chose for her is it says a sword, but I'm gonna take some creative liberties and make it like a cane sword. She's an old lady and needs a little assistance with her walking, but it hums in the presence of the shadow.
Interesting. Okay.
My goodness.
Sword. I'm writing this down. Sword.
How sensitive is it to the shadow?
We'll find out.
Okay.
Okay. And all right. So now this is also going to be this is something that you all need to discuss together. Rank. The first 4 ranks you can pick. don't pick any of the other ones. But only one of you can be the corporal.
So what's kind of the significance with the ranks, just so we have a solid
Okay, so
baseline?
we have the recruit. The recruit is you're brand new. You're I mean, okay, the watch is only like a couple months old, right? So I mean, you're all new. But recruits are, bottom. Whoop, sorry about that. Wonderful ASMR noises. I'll do that for you. Okay. And so the recruit is bottom of the rung. Initiate is you're now on the team. You're no longer a recruit. Now you're now a soldier. Yeah, someone's yelling at me. Hi, yeah, I did it. Okay. Then you have warden. Warden is like kind of, I guess, like your sergeant. No, it's not a sergeant. That's above corporal. Warden is like you're getting up there now. Now you got a rank outside of like the basic rank. And then corporal, for what your unit is, corporal will be your ranking person.
Like rank officer,
Yeah.
basically. Okay, cool.
And then there's sergeant, lieutenant commander, commander, watch captain, and field marshal, but none of you are those. You can be one of the first four. So who do they think has the character that would be the corporal?
A lot of the lioness's attributes push it, but I also didn't want to claim it if someone else felt more inclined to be a formal leader. Like, I can just be a spokesperson.
There's a part of me that would be fascinated to see Gnome's character be corporal,
Yeah.
just
His
because
age.
of that, like,
Yeah.
but if you don't want to, you do not have to. I would find the idea fascinating.
I don't. It doesn't matter to me either way, but I think Jess wants it. Jess should totally have it.
I'm totally good with that. I'm thinking Warden fits Remy pretty well.
Okay.
She's like been there long enough, but it's not very far.
Okay, so Remy. So hands up for Rumo being the corporal.
I mean, I'm good with it.
You're
Are you okay with it, Jess?
So, like, the thing with Rumo is like, I don't know how I forget the age scale, but like adult enough, not middle-aged quite. I think they would be charismatic and hungry to do the best they can and move up quickly, but it doesn't necessarily have to mean like I start off as corporal. If someone really I don't want to play into cliches or anything. So like, I'm totally fine with Rivka, like, being like, I have a lot of respect for elders. They have wisdom beyond me.
So
Wisdom's a word, you know. A
yeah,
word.
I'm definitely on board for Rivka as an option. If Gnome is comfortable with it, I will also. While like I'm perfectly happy not, I will throw myself out as an option if Gnome or Jess both don't want to. I think it could be interesting to explore.
Oh, from the like more ritual side, like with that background. Oh, that'd be cool too. Yeah.
Yeah, I was curious, like, from a more religious, spiritual aspect, maybe we need that anchor in this time of obvious violence.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Fine with it either way.
We're all ready for everyone.
We're all just sitting here.
Gotta
Like,
rock, paper, scissors it to figure it out.
this is your group.
Yeah,
So-
it's awkward to talk about power dynamics so early when the characters are not fully fleshed out. So
right.
it's very
Right.
Once we start doing our camaraderie,
Yeah.
and stuff, this that knowing those power power dynamics will help you flesh those characters out and build that camaraderie.
Mhm.
So
I can see the camaraderie actually already somewhat forming between Rivka and Hadia, because they both have this like spiritual element to them.
Mhm.
So like if you want to do like a corporal warden corporal, like I think the two would have a good dynamic together. And then they could even have opposing spiritual thoughts, because depending on where you get your source from, and Rivka gets her source from, there's potential conflict there. So yes, of course, Agatha. Wait.
Well, what if maybe we do? Is it Hadia? Is that how I'm pronouncing it?
Yeah.
Hadia. Okay. What if Hadia was the corporal and then Rivka would be warden as well, and then we could have that kind of balance in that maybe tension.
I also like, I love the idea of having an elderly lady be a corporal, because that's pretty awesome. But I also think it's really great having the dark magics person be the corporal.
Mhm. I think that's a really interesting
Don't see
play.
either one of those generally as the leader of a group. So I'm totally on board.
I'm throwing my hat into Hadia, if that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll back Hadia.
I vote for Hadia.
Agatha, Hadia?
Sure.
Okay. Hadia is the corporal. And then so then we have Rivka as a warden. Was that what you were thinking? Or are you just like going completely off the wall? Hi, I'm in a recruit.
I mean, yeah, I could also be a recruit that throws wrenches into every, like, control me. I'm old. What are you gonna do, honey? Like, mm-mm. I can go anyway. So whatever anybody else wants.
I love that.
Oh, it's so funny because like looking through like my playbook, I was like, okay, I prioritize, like there's a sliding scale of like, oh, I could go with these if everyone does this, and like the priority. It seems like we're all just ready to build off of each other. I love it.
I love it. So good.
Okay. So far we have Remy as a warden, Hadia as corporal. What's Tizo?
I am fully playing into the stereotype of my character and making Tizo a recruit.
Okay.
Nice.
Recruit.
That makes sense.
Rumo?
Methinks Ruma is an initiate.
Initiate.
Mm-hmm.
And Rivka?
Could go either way.
Yes.
This is why decisions are so hard. Let's go with Tiso. Let's play the recruit off with this.
Okay. I love it. I love the power dynamics of this.
Yeah.
Okay. So next. Oh, I lost my page here. Okay, clans and stats. So on the back of your character sheets, there are the clans. Now there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different clans that you can be from. And you could all be, you don't all have to be different clans. You can be part of the same clan if you want. So there are Thassan, which are herders or equestrians. Morsh, they're tradespeople. Sharn, which is hunter-gatherers. Charsa, miners. Toltho, craftsfolk farmers. Roishan, warriors. Dothus, mystics. Rikti, nomads, Thaden, builders / masons, and Malthus, which are mountain folk. Amaras?
Yeah, I can go since I think I know mine.
Okay.
I would like to be the Rikti, the nomads.
Hmm.
So that's the clan that I think I'm from.
Okay. Remy.
I haven't decided 100%. I'm kind of between Rikti and Morsh. Since she does have a lot of that kind of healing medical background, I feel like her being able to go to multiple places and kind of learn in many areas makes sense. So I don't know if nomad or trade, like which one fits better.
I'm just going to throw this out there. I don't know if this will, in case you want to consider, I am thinking of Morsh for Tizo, so I don't know if that will affect how you want to make this.
Yeah, I like the idea of being from another clan with someone else. So I'm just not positive which way fits her better. Come back to me. I'm going to kind of look over the rest and see if it sparks an idea.
Okay. Jess looks like she's they're thinking, so let Gnome.
I'm torn between either fully playing up the mystic aspect and going with the Dothis, or being more secluded and going with the Malthus and the mountain folk. So
if it helps, I guess part of my reasoning for choosing the Rikti is I think having like the kind of religious figure be from not the mystic background, but rather a traveling background where I've picked up religious and spiritual beliefs from other places and other like tribes, and I'm now sort of like pushing forward hey, we should be kind of more modifying and adapting our beliefs as time move forward rather than just sticking staunchly and excluding other beliefs. And I don't know if that changes what your choices at all or tension with characters, but
Cool.
My heart. Oh, so good. Why are you so good?
I think Remy might also be Rikti then. I feel like they have a similar thought on that, like traveling and learning as they go, but just medicine is like religion. I think that's cool. I'm gonna go with it.
Gnome?
I think I'm gonna go with Malthus.
Malthus?
Yeah, I think we'll go with the mountain folk. Because I feel like there's an element that an older woman who can very clearly handle herself probably would know from a clan like that.
From the mountains. Rumo.
Okay. So going into this, I had narrowed it down to 4. And as we're kind of playing this out, part of me wants to be from Sharn as a hunter-gatherer. So I've known what it is to be physical. Combat isn't foreign, but it's now translatable skills, per se. So I think I will go with Sharn.
Sharn. Okay, so to recap that, we have Warden Remy, Sharn. Rikti. I switched you up. We have so many R names.
Yeah,
we do.
I was like, oops. Oh, no.
It's a popular consonant. Okay, so we have Warden Remy, which is part of Clan Rikti. We have Corporal Hadya, also Clan Rikti. We have Initiate Rumo, who is from Sharn. Recruit Tizo from Morsh, and Recruit Rivka from Malthus. Okay. So now we are going to, what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to take this a little bit out of order because I'm going to ask some questions about your clans since we're talking about clans. So, Morsh. What tyrant came from this clan, and what small good came from their reign?
Oh, I need a name. Hold on. Do you have a random name generator? Hold on. Actually, I'll just take one from another.
Playbook?
Yeah, we don't have a bear, right?
What about Otak?
No, I think I remember that in another game that I played.
Oh, well, under bear, there's Troll, Otak, Loka, Mehik, Radik, Drala, Erdo, Prith, or Prith, Prithé, Troshik, Athik, Lish, Lishay. I guess they're fantasy names. You can pronounce them
Yeah.
however.
Yeah, I think we can go with, hold on. We have a lot of R names. So let's go with not an R name. It was Mechik.
Mehik.
And they were definitely they're a tyrant and we are traders.
But what is a good thing that came out of there?
Right. I mean, because of their ambition, they built a lot of roads. And a part of why they were known as a tyrant is because some of the road building is through terrain that is almost has been considered intraversable before. So a lot of people died because of that. But also now there is convenience for traveling.
Yep. Okay. That's a good one. And then I am going to say Emaras. Can you
Hello.
please answer this question about Clan Morsh? Why is this clan's political position unassailable?
Ooh. So, Morsh are tradespeople, and the easy answer is that like they control money or resources. But I think instead, Morsh has a way to contact and get stuff from beyond the shadow. So they are one of the only supply lines we have as we are back down to this corner area.
Okay. Yeah, that's important. Okay. And then that brings us to Sharn, the hunters and gatherers. So, Jess, what tyrant came from this clan, and what? Oh,
I
sorry.
wasn't going to say anything. That's okay.
What hero came from this clan, and what were they famous for?
Oh dear, a hero, you say?
Mm-hmm.
I think from Clan Sharn, we always speak of a person who, before the shadow, was very fierce, and there were very large, probably mammalian creatures that terrorized the land, and they were just beyond anything we'd ever hunted before. They were ruining crops and messing with the other clans, and I think this person was the one to finally strategize a way to be able to corral this species,
Okay.
not necessarily slay them, which is very odd for a hunter, and that's why they stand out as a hero.
Okay, so they're trying to preserve this species, but in a way that
Does not wreck our habitable lands.
What are these animals? So they're still around. Are they still around, or are they extinct at this point?
Shadow doesn't take animals, right?
No.
Okay, good. They have, oh geez, I would think they're very thick, almost elephant-like, maybe very large, leathery elephants, but instead of trunks, they have a rhinoceros nose and big saber-toothed tusks. And they're bright, like red clay colored. I'm gonna have to think of a good name for them. Little critters.
Yeah, and a name for the hero.
Oh, heck. Names are like the most stressful thing of any game I play. I
Okay.
think
Well, I
put
have a
my-
list of names here.
Okay, yes.
Because no one's playing the bear. So we have Lemny, Trila, Tovi,
Trila.
Trila.
Done.
All right, cool. Trila. Agatha. About Sharn. What key area do they still control?
Oh, interesting. Okay. Sorry, I'm just going to scroll down to where the map is. Hunters, gatherers. I wonder if it's a valley.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why is
And
it key?
because because there is, aside from that valley, there is a mountain range that is pretty much intraversable.
Okay. So that valley leads. So that valley is a key traversable area.
Yeah, it's basically like it's so perfect. If you control that, military strategy A+, because anyone who is trying to go through there is basically exposed for you to wreck them.
Okay. Gives access. Okay. So then that brings us to Rikti. Let's see, the nomads. So I'm going to have both Emraz and Tiffany answer one of these. So Tiffany, what sacred object is this clan reputed to possess?
So I think their sacred object is like a chalice, a cup or chalice. Since they're nomadic people, they interact with a lot. And I think coming in and into a space and then trying to foster a sense of fellowship was really important to them. So they would meet with people, especially like if there were like clan leaders, you would meet and sit and share a drink from this chalice.
Okay. And what is the chalice made out of?
It is I think it's made out of a pretty common metal, but it is adorned with some additional like gemstones, but uncut, like unfinished gemstones. So to the naked eye, it would look like it wasn't worth a lot. But if you knew and you knew that under that was something really special, it was there.
Cool. All right. And that then, Amaraz, which clan did Rikti split from?
Interesting.
So do we want it to be I personally would love to see it be one of the clans that's represented here in this game.
Yeah, I was pulling up that list, and I think Sharn. I think that Rikti and Sharn were once like one singular clan. But while the kind of traveling and living off of the resources of the land and the area aspect of being part of Sharn was valued by a lot of the members. A lot of them decided that kind of doing that in limited locales was too limiting and not giving us access to enough. So they just took off and left one day. And most people who assumed that they were going to be dead by the end of the week or two. And a couple years passed and they made their kind of first rotation back as a kind of full established clan, and they kept going.
How long ago was this?
I think.
And Tiffany, you can totally chime in. This is
Yeah.
Maybe it's not terribly recent. Like, it's only been a couple years where there's still that, like, no one has forgotten that they were once one.
Right. I'm wondering if, like a couple decades, long enough for them to be their own thing and to have people who were born as part of the clan and who are like grew up in that clan, but not longer.
Mm-hmm.
There's still people alive who remember it being one clan, but there's new generations coming who only know them separate.
Because of that, I'm thinking, so your chalice, you mentioned it was all like uncut gemstones in it, right?
Yeah.
What if they collected one from every clan they've visited or every group they've visited, but there still isn't one from Sharn?
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
God damn.
Write this all down. And then, so Jess, how does Sharn view Rikti?
We, being very mobile, are minimalistic in our possessions. So we are purely an oral tradition in terms of history. So I would think if it's within the generation, I don't have knowledge. Like, I don't have firsthand knowledge of it, but I have a lot of old people telling poems and tales and songs, and I don't think any of it is ill will. I think it's more like, oh, we were just vibrant and wanted to leave and more go off and explore the ages, and Rikti is the solid home that maybe we can always come back to. So I think there's a wishful aspect of how we view the Rikti, but we haven't gone back.
Okay. Cool.
Oh dear. Someone is being super kind.
Yes, someone is. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
That's super special, given that September, the gift subs are not half off. So that's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and then I guess that then brings us to Molthus. Where are you on my list, Molthus? There we are, the Rugged Mountaineers. So, Gnome, why is this clan so reclusive, and how is this different from how they were before?
Looking at the map, they obviously live up in the mountains, and I think it was just there was just a natural disconnect. It was too difficult for others to come up as high as they were, as to where the Molthus clan was, and depending on maybe where the war of the shadows started, they may have been the first on the front line, and so their clan took some of the heaviest hits, and now in order to survive and to persevere, they must flee to the other clan.
Okay.
Oof.
That is, and that's actually is what's going to make this next question that interesting. Agatha, I didn't get you to answer someone else's, right?
I don't think so.
Okay. Then you're gonna get this one. What ancient mountain fortress do they still hold?
So, Noam, you said that Malthus had to flee?
Yeah, I feel like maybe their clan focused or cherished male-born more significantly. It was a much more patriarchal society. And in doing so, all of their men are gone. So they've had to become better themselves together, but just there's nobody left to take care of maybe this fortress and to protect it and to do the upkeep of it, on top of the war is right there at their doorstep, so it is just abandoned.
Okay, I'm gonna pitch this to you, Victoria. I wonder if this fortress is basically right by that valley.
Okay, yeah.
That, I don't remember who was it that controlled it. I think it
Sharn.
was
The
the
Sharn?
Sharn controlled. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Oh.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
In a
So
strategic
the
way, but
mountain fortress near the Sharn. I think maybe the Sharn and the Malthus hold it together.
yeah, I think it would be very interesting to see the Malthus have to go to someone else for help, but they are holding on to this fortress because they have to.
There, if you do, you fall.
Love it. I think that's great.
Okay. All right. So now let's go into camaraderie. So each of your playbooks have questions called the ties that bind. So there are, I believe there's 5 questions for these, and there's 5 players. So you don't have to fill out all of them. But I'd like to see you at least fill out 2. So why don't we start with Gnome? And what are some of your ties that bind?
Let's see. Oh god, this PDF moves so slow for some reason on my computer. It's not a big file.
Glad it wasn't just me.
Oh, it's not. It's just the PDF. Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting. I think who. I love the idea of communing with somebody's long dead ancestors. Yeah. Mystics are great. So, of which tribe or of which clan and with whom? Gosh, any of them would be a good pick. That's the thing.
When
I
you
don't
say
know.
like commune with ancestors, is it like an intentional thing, or is it just something you're naturally attuned to?
Both.
Yes. Gnome's answer. Yes.
Definitely. No, probably actually both. Wanted to or unwanted. That was a really cool thing about the fox, is some of their moves. I don't know.
Such a soft spot for like the suddenly ghosts are talking to me character. Like I have such a soft spot for that.
So do I.
You have an old woman who communes with
Dead
the
people.
dead.
Yeah.
Like mortality is just always there. I don't know. I think with Tizo though might be good.
That's good. I think everyone should have like really conflict-based ones with me because all of mine are for some reason really conflict-oriented.
Mine are a little conflict oriented too.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll say that Rivka has communed with Tizo's ancestors. Okay, so Tizo, what's one of yours that you want to fill out?
Okay. Well. Oh my gosh.
We have
Okay,
15 minutes, y'all.
Okay, sorry.
There's so much to get through. I do have a sworn enemies. If you're talking antagonisms, don't be shy.
Okay. I mean, there's someone that I'm hoping we will not come to blows with because they live by a different code than I do. I think I don't know what code I live by.
An arrogant
Okay.
one, apparently.
Sorry?
A proud and arrogant one.
Yes. So I think if people were to live by my code, I would also come to blows with them. Okay. I want to just give one back to Rivka because that's a good starting point for me. I think my clan elder has forbidden me from getting close to you.
Ooh.
And they told me that it's because you corrupt the minds of the young, but the reality is probably a different reason. I think there's some tea there.
This is piping hot.
Yeah.
Yes. Burn me.
Oh, that's fun. That's fun. Okay, so then let's go then with I have so many notes. I'm like flipping all over the place. Hadja, what's one for you?
All right. I have a couple in mind. I think for my first one, the alliance between my clan and Tizo's was destroyed by the shadow. And I think for that is with our clans being two of the ones that kind of traveled the most and interacted the most with further out, I think the Rikti used to serve sort of as a warning sort of for the Morsh, where like we would be able to know when something beyond was about to happen and would warn the Morsh to kind of withdraw and like cut off their trade routes. And we were all caught off guard by the shadow. And the Morsh in part blame us for the destruction that happened to them.
Cool. Remy.
Okay. So looking at these, there's two that I kind of really like. One is I can always count on whoever to keep their head when there's trouble. But I also like owes me a debt they have to repay.
Well, you're all gonna be picking some more, so
Perfect. Well, Agatha asked for conflict with Tiso. So what if the debt to Remy is that she got you in as a recruit, like kind of helped get you in? And since she's a little higher up, there's a little bit of that tension.
Ooh. Okay, that's good.
You like that? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think, like, I feel like it's going to be a bit more just like, why are you fighting me on this? Like, do you know how hard I got you? Like, I worked to get you here.
Why are you so ungrateful?
Why are you ungrateful for my help?
True.
Cool. I'm going to put that in.
Rumo?
There's one, okay, so I will bring it up, but it is totally something you can say no to. So there's one that says, I know that blank will fall to the shadow. It is only a matter of time. And I really want to give that to Remy, but I want it to, okay. Yes, so I know that Ward and Remy will fall to the shadow.
Ooh.
I'm here for this.
Oh, what's another one?
Oh, another one.
10 minutes.
Another one. Well, I'm not going to use I've shared my bed with blank in the past. That's out the window for me. Boop, 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 doop, doop, boo. Somebody can seem frightened of me, and with good cause, if we want more conflict, or positive interaction. I nearly died, and this person sat by my side as I recovered. So we have a lot of conflict. Let's build on a little bit of positivity here.
Okay.
That's good.
How about Rumo? Potentially. I feel like that would be something.
Yeah, if we're at the same fortress, that could have definitely been something that occurred. Oh dear. How did you almost die? We'll have to save that for next time.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Okay. Tizo.
Yes, I have. Okay. Someone understands me as few others do. And I think maybe this is not something necessarily to do with the way I live my life or the way that I like to address other people, but more about there's like something that I think. So I want to pitch this to the group because I don't know if there's anyone specific for that, but it's like I think it has something to do with that. I believe a lot in like the clan honor, and then also like the personal honor is tied to that as well. And I'm willing to sacrifice a lot for that. Don't know if anyone understands that, or I think that they understand. Oh boy. Maybe.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say that could be an interesting dynamic to work with, where like if I know about that and I know about your code, and part of my code is kind of respecting that, but also you are directly under my command, and I don't want you to die at the same time. So there's kind of that fun tension there where I know and I see, but also
Yeah, I think that's very cool. And also it's cool that I feel like we understand each other because our clans worked together before. So we understand each other's values.
Remy. Oh, I think Remy is.
Okay.
Oh, but your voice is there.
Am
Hello.
I back? Okay.
Back.
Oh, good. So I think I do want to do that. I can always count on someone to keep their head when there's trouble. And I kind of really like the idea of it being Rumo in balance to their one with Remy.
Sure.
I think that could be fun.
Yeah. No, I think knowing how convicted I am towards your fate, I definitely would try to keep emotion out of play. So I like that.
Cool.
Hadia?
So I will pitch one, but if no one wants it, I have another one. Because this one establishes a decent bit about the character, and it's blank serves the gods faithfully. I trust them implicitly. So if someone wants to be more religious, or at least more religious in presentation, but if no one wants that, I have another one.
I feel like we have so much already with our clans that I don't want to take that too, because we already have a lot of like dynamic between the rank and the clan.
Okay.
I have a meta question, and I
But
know
I think
the time. Is there in this world a difference between gods and religion versus spirituality?
There can be.
That's
if
up to
what we
us.
want.
That's up to us. Okay.
Yeah.
How
Is
about-
that something we want? Do we want that division, or do we want it to all be kind of jumbled up together? Each clan had their own set of things, or is there a united belief amongst the clans? Or is there something new coming out of
That's-
this?
I'm seeing like a melting pot, like an amalgamation, much like Hadia's background. That kind of that sense of spirituality and religion is kind of emerging. Back to original ties that Hadia proposed. I wouldn't mind, but I want to make sure we're all balanced in our ties.
So, how about this? I'll leave that one on the table for now. And instead, I will say, I saw blank in my dreams before I ever met them, and I'm afraid to tell them. And I
Ooh.
think that would be a fun one for Rumo, considering Rumo is concerned about Remy falling to the shadow. And I think what I saw is a dream of Rumo and I clashing right before either Rumo's fall or death. And it was like one of those vague metaphor dreams where it could have been either. So I've been trying to build a rapport with Rumo to stop that from happening.
Yes, absolutely. Really quick to snowball on that. I was really thinking there was one I have for Hadia and I are related by marriage, meaning one of my nomadic families left and went back to Rikti. So we have family ties. We're in-laws of some sort.
Mhm.
I like it. We've never met yet though. Oh my gosh, I'm here for this.
Yeah. Okay, so we all have 2, right? So we are going to see. So you're going to show on your character sheet. There's a section for camaraderie. You get a point with each person that you have a tie with for your camaraderie. So tally up your camaraderie. And then, okay, we have 3 minutes. So we'll keep 2 for now. And you know what? Ties will come up throughout the game. So I know there's a show after ours. I'm sorry, I'm knocking this over. Okay, so
Oh, no show.
oh, sorry.
No show after.
Oh, there's no show after.
They're
Okay,
off this
great.
week.
So we can go a little over, not too much. Okay, great. So I have starting questions. Rumo.
Yes, me.
Oh no, I'm not going to ask you that question. After the first attack by the shadow, your clan was to play a vital role in the early response. What was your clan supposed to do, and why were you not able to do that? What do you wish you could have done differently?
Oh, my heart aches already. As the hunter-gatherers, we're more mobile, and we had a lot better concept of using whatever horses or whatever we had at the time. So our initial role in fighting back the shadow was to try and drive the border and keep pushing them back. And it really, we just had no idea what exactly the shadow was doing, and we didn't prepare our animals for what they were going to see. So I think they just weren't tamed enough to handle the bloodshed, the turn, the darkness that we were faced with, and just we had no mobility for what we were expecting. So the shadow was not something we could stave off the way we confidently expected to.
Okay. What do you wish you could have done differently?
I wanted to be able to join forces with the clans closest geographically sooner. And I think we shot off on our own, expecting that we could handle it.
Okay. Hadja,
Hello.
your clan was the only one that voted against dissolving the clans. So why did the rest of the clans vote against you, and why did you go along with them anyway?
I think our clan having just gone through this super recently, that identity was something that might have even been seen as almost illegitimate by many of us since it was so new. And it was something that we kind of fought hard for and fought hard to get it recognized, and to have it snatched away so quickly, even though it was out of necessity and out of this disaster that no one else had like orchestrated, it still did feel like this opportunity was being used to snatch away that like that one thing that we fought so hard for recently.
So you went along with it anyway because you had survival. You had
Yeah, we recognized that it was necessary and there was no other choice, but it still burned.
Mm-hmm. Rivka, your clan suffered the deepest losses, with only a few dozen survivors of the initial disaster. Which clan do you blame for your losses? Whose absence gnaws at you like a festering wound, and where did you bury them?
What's up, Agatha? How you
Yes.
doing, right?
Yes.
I mean, that was kind of really hard though to pick because it could be Sharn and Morsh are. I mean, they're pretty closely tied to that. It's like a little trifecta area. But
Can I add a suggestion to
Yeah, please.
this conflict? So what if my one of my camaraderie things is that I believe that we should put aside our ongoing clan feud to face this war.
But you were also told not to trust Rivka.
Oh, you're right. Never mind. No, I'm not gonna add that to
It could be
that.
like
Okay.
internal conflict.
Oh yeah, but no, this works then. Yeah,
There's
I was
no-
told not to trust you, and
Yeah,
your clan holds us responsible. And I'm
yeah,
like,
I think we all
I'm pretty sure you're lying. I've been told that you lie.
right. But look at how many people we have left. Because you weren't there when you were supposed to be.
I don't want to tell you.
Just saying.
Who died, Rivka, and where did you bury them?
From my clan.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with.
But you in particular, whose absent gnaws at you like a festering?
Yeah, that's going to be my husband. My husband, Reish.
What's his name?
Reish.
How do I spell that?
Ish. I think that was one of the kind of like suggestions in the
Mhm.
in the Fox area. Yeah, nope, husband died. And I mean, how descriptive can we be with this? Because I can make it more dramatic. I can make it that Rivka had to end him because he was consumed by the shadow and was going to harm their child, their grandchild, something like that.
Been discussed what the
stop it.
shadow is yet.
Oh no, we haven't.
Oh my god.
Next.
And
there are things.
We're already ready. Let's do this.
I know. There are aspects of the shadow that make me want to throw up in my mouth when you read them.
Yeah.
We're gonna decide as a group these options for the shadow, but yeah. Rough. Okay, so Rivka, that's heartbreaking. You had to kill your husband. Okay. Oh boy.
This is fine. Everything's fine.
Right? Okay. So then Remy,
Yes.
Your clan had an opportunity to prevent the violence and chaos of the Shadow's first invasion. Why didn't you act? And when did you realize you'd made a terrible mistake?
So this is gonna build off what we said earlier about the Sharn and the Morsh and the Rikti having a conflict about that, like sharing of information. I think the Rikti in their travels saw the very beginning of it, saw as it started to infect, but it's almost like what they say is like when you don't know what to look for, you don't see it. So it started, but it was far more subtle than it is now. And because it was so foreign, they didn't know the signs early enough to be able to act. And by the time they realized the shadow had come and attacked, and the Sharn were going, and everyone was trying to get to that first battle. And ever since then, they almost tried to become studiers and document all the symptoms as a way to try and make up for the fact that they missed it to start with.
Okay. What was an event that should have triggered alarms but didn't? And Emiraz, you can jump in on this because this is your clan as well.
Well, I like the idea that we saw it, and while it wasn't as strong and immediate as it is, say, where like it instantly turned people like during combat or whatever, it started infecting some of us. And I don't know about the specific of the events, but I think something happened where those of us who were carrying the shadow became relevant in the worst ways. I don't know if you got.
Yeah. What if, since we have been talking about kind of this like almost studying culture, but also that like religion, spiritual aspect, what if we were in the middle of a ritual, and a part of that ritual, which was very common where we all came together, some of the people that were a part of it started resisting and acting in a completely opposite way. And it was like almost that first moment where we all had to stop and go, what? Like, and it almost like from that point, it was like, oh, maybe it was just like weird. And then things kind of settled back down. And then it came up more.
Do you want me
like
to
more? Throw more in there.
I think that ritual centered around my black stone spear.
Perfect.
That was like a key centerpiece to the ritual, and that's what like activated it. But it was only a minor part of the ritual, so it didn't do enough there. It just awakened it for later.
Yeah. It's a ritual.
Chills. I have chills.
I know, right?
Tizo, you're left, correct? Or did I already ask one for you?
No.
No, it didn't. Okay. Most of the women in your clan reveled in the violence that occurred during the Shadow's earliest incursions. What did they do that crossed the line? Were you one of them? And who outside the clan knows about it?
Interesting. You reveled in the violence.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really sure. I feel like this is really dependent on what the shadow is, or it's how it manifests.
Okay.
Because I think that would really determine.
Then?
Yes, I would love that.
Okay. Let's go back to that. After we define the shadow. Dun dun dun. Okay. So this is when it's going to start getting ugly because we're fighting toxic masculinity. So there's some ugly stuff here, y'all. Okay. So now we have to choose two from the following list. What is it? It can be Darkly Sorceress, subtle and hard to discern, reality warping, terror inducing, or technological. So we pick 2.
What page
I-
is that?
It's page 134.
Thank you.
I really like the idea of like reality warping.
Mhm.
Like the idea that when you're infected, your whole reality starts to shift and change.
So reality warping as a mental shift?
That's the way I think of it. But if others have different like thoughts with that.
Well, let's
If-
just define it within this, because there are certain things. I don't have a character. The shadow is my character.
Yeah.
So I will take the there's other choices and stuff that we're going to go through here to define this.
Okay, sorry.
And then I will kind of shape it, and you'll discover how awful it is next session.
I like reality warping as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure this is going to be a subtle and hard to discern shadow. I'm thinking possibly darkly sorceress, kind of antithetical to how our group is.
Yeah, I like that one too.
But I mean, terror inducing is always great to play with.
What do you think, Gnome?
It's so there's so many good possibilities. Like, terror is kind of fun. I like a little bit of horror. So yeah, that
I mean,
might be
reality warping and terror inducing is pretty horror.
Yeah. Oh,
Agatha has a thumbs
reality
up.
warping could mean possible hope too, like some reversal going on or something. Ooh, yeah, it's a flip of the coin for me with that.
Okay.
It's yeah, either way, it's fine.
Well, we get to pick 2 of these. So is everyone on board with reality warping and terror inducing?
Yeah, perfect.
Reality warping.
I guess green card. I realized thumbs up.
Oh yeah. Green?
Oh my god, mine looks
Sure.
yellow from over here now.
Is that yellow or green?
No, it's green.
Okay.
I know. Yeah.
Yes, when it's in comparison to the yellow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we have terror inducing. Okay. What it wants. We're picking 2. This is when it's gross. For women to serve with gladness and delight. For men to serve without emotion. To pervert the land and all its creatures. Submission without resistance. Perfect order and hierarchy, and dissension and disunity among its enemies.
Quick question.
Mm-hmm.
In character, we're not necessarily aware of what it wants yet. We're just kind of picking out of character.
Yeah.
Okay. Just double checking.
I know they're
So they're real gross.
Mhm.
How many are we picking for this? 2
2.
as well? I'm going to vote for the men serving without feeling. I think that gives a lot of story, but doesn't make my skin crawl the instant you say it.
Yeah, there are some in here that make me go,
Yeah.
ooh. Yeah.
I'm going to put a vote in for that one.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything that's jumping out at them?
I'll second that one as well.
I'm okay with that one.
For men to serve without emotion.
Yeah.
Okay. We need one more.
To-
I
Do you,
Go ahead.
oh,
No,
go
go
ahead.
Mm-mm.
Go ahead, Gnome.
The raw reaction from all of us on that first one
Mm-hmm.
feels like we would be so united against taking that down.
That is true.
It's really gross.
Agatha doesn't look so sure.
And that's okay. That's totally okay.
no, that sounds good. I think this will be very. I'm down.
So, for women to serve with gladness and delight. Oh, yeah, everyone's face.
Yeah. I mean, if we pair those two, now we're quite literally honing in on the gender binary in that interest. So it's powerful. It's a tough one.
We'll be fighting it.
Yeah.
So this is going to help like set the tone of the game.
Mhm.
So that's also very important.
Since I don't have that directly in front of me, what were the ones below those two?
To
again?
pervert the land and all its creatures, submission without resistance, which is another.
I
Ooh.
like that one.
Oh boy.
yeah.
Perfect order and hierarchy, and dissension and disunity among its enemies.
So if we all decided to go with the first two, I'm totally good with that. I do also like the I think it's the fourth one down. The order,
Perfect order and
perfect
hierarchy.
order. Yeah.
I like just to muck it up more. I like submission without resistance because
That
Yeah.
one, yeah.
that makes me think of something I can tie back to what my clan, the women in my clan was. Anyway,
I would also potentially throw in dissension and disunity among its enemies, because like if it's reality warping and terror inducing, it seems like the kind of thing that would force all its soldiers to serve emotionlessly while ravaging the like emotions of everything else.
I was also leaning towards dissension because, yeah, I mean, again, antithetical to what we're trying to do with our clans dissolving and reunifying. So that was an
That makes
interesting
a lot
one.
of sense.
Yeah, I'm good with those pairings too. That makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
So are we all going
that.
along with dissension and disunity?
I think so.
That's one. And then, like, what are we pairing with that?
For
For
men.
Men serving without emo.
Right.
Emotion. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah. that's-
That
Just the like
It's fun.
just the-
all right.
I'll
You
find a
know.
different green. Here. I have a Bulbasaur.
Yay,
quizzically agree.
Bulbasaur!
It's the
Oh, buddy.
pop one. Oh, yes.
Dissension. Okay. Now let's discuss what the shadow does. We pick two. It turns men into weapons, turns women into objects, amplify the voices of the shadow held, silence all opposition, crush autonomy, and grind down the willful.
God, so visceral, all of these choices.
Ooh.
I don't know if it's leaning too hard into it. I think turns men into weapons plays with
Mhm.
the emotionless, but we don't have to pair those.
I think I like the
Yeah.
turn into weapons paired with amplify the voices of the shadow held. Like I think they work together with the emotionless and creating that dissension and disunity. So that's my vote.
weaponizing like emotionless voices.
That's
I also really like. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's good. I'm curious what emotionless voices would be like. So I kind of like crush autonomy and grind down the willful.
I
Yeah,
do say
I was.
I like crush
Yeah.
autonomy and grind on the willful myself.
Yeah, I also really like that. Combining that with like warping reality, and then that like constant like the things that you hold on to are just like pulled from under you constantly. Then you're like kind of you're basically being crushed.
Oh, this is a heavy one.
I told you.
Yeah.
I was straight up about this.
Yes, it was beautiful.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Crush Autonomy as well, along with Amplify Voices. Those are my top two personally.
Okay. So
I think.
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I think I froze for a second. But yeah, I like the men as weapons and the crush autonomy
Okay.
for the two.
Agatha, what are your two?
Oh, I only had my vote for crushing, and yeah, I
What's
don't know
the
if I
other
have.
You don't?
Oh, I think it'd be interesting to see the amplifying the voices of the shadow held. That seems like it has a lot of potential for interpretation that could go in different directions, and I kind of like that.
Okay. What about Gnome? What are your two?
Definitely down with the crush autonomy. And my vote would probably still be turn men into weapons, but I feel like amplify the voices of the shadow held, that could be a weapon in and of itself. So I could go either way with those, between those two.
Okay. Jess?
Oh man. I'm pretty much in the same boat with Gnome. I think I'll just crush autonomy and I'm gonna go with amplify the voices of the shadow held because there's a
Okay.
lot of ways you can play men serving without emotion.
Okay. So I think then we kind of just democracy. We've got amplify the voices.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Okay.
I love the weight. Like we're just picking two choices, but like the weight of all of these choices coming together is just crushing.
Yeah, it is. So I have two more to choose from, and these are the Shadow's servants. We have men hollowed out into automatons who never eat or sleep, men twisted into unnatural creatures of war, women turned to exemplars of sublime and unsettling beauty, women corrupted into idols and objects of veneration, cogs in a devastating machine of war, and berserkers who fight to the bitter end.
I immediately have two that jump out to me, but I don't want to speak first if someone else also has.
No, what do you have?
Yeah, please do.
So we have a lot going on with the men and what the shadow does. So I'm thinking I really am curious to see what women corrupted into idols and objects of veneration would look like, paired with berserkers who fight to the bitter end, thinking about Rivka's husband.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, those were the two that I was going to suggest, and I was like, it'd be so interesting if they were combined, right?
Yeah.
Like if there
These
are women
idols. Yeah. Oof.
turn into idols, and then they're just like tearing you apart.
Oof.
Yeah, those are the ones I liked too.
As they're being torn apart, because you gotta tear them apart, even though that could be your friend.
Right? That could be your family member. It could be a lover. It could be a spouse, a child. Like this is, yeah. So, women corrupted into idols and objects of veneration, and berserkers who fight to the bitter end. Is that occurring?
He's so happy about all
Okay. So, all right, women corrupted. Okay. And berserkers. Okay, so let's kind of recap what the shadow is and does and how it affects people. So, what is it? It is reality warping and terror inducing. It wants for men to serve without emotion and dissension and disunity among its enemies. It amplifies the voices of the shadow held and crushes autonomy and grinds down the willful. Which, listeners, you can't see our Zoom group chat, but everyone is yelling out things like crush that autonomy and woo. The shadow servants are women corrupted into idols and objects of veneration and berserkers who fight to the bitter end.
Holy crap, what a combination.
Right?
It's gonna be intense.
Yeah, it is.
I'm here
And,
for it.
we are going to meet and see everyone in action at 5:30 Eastern Time next Monday. Thanks for joining us in this session 0 of Not This Tide. Bye. Now, this is the awkward wave until we're like, Daniel,
Right?
can you end the stream now?
How's it going?
Watch,
Doodaloo.
they went to the
It
bathroom.
went. He left.
You all
Yeah,
have
we're-
to
oh gosh.
Oh, how y'all doing? Oh God, I'm lagging.
Oof. Oof.
we all have to give our best like emotionless